There's a moment that happens to a lot of people after 60. You walk into a room and stop. You can't remember why you came in. You reach for a name, someone you've known for years, and it's just gone for a second or two. Then it comes back and you laugh it off. But quietly, somewhere in the back of your mind, you wonder, is this the beginning of something I can't stop? I want to talk to you about that question today because the answer is not what most people expect to hear. And it has everything to do with what you eat in the first 2 hours of your morning. My name is Dr. William Lee. I'm a physician scientist and the author of Eat to Beat Disease. I've spent decades studying how food interacts with the body's most powerful biological systems, including the brain. And what I want to share with you today is something that comes directly from the frontier of neuroscience and nutritional research. This isn't theory. This is biology that's already been validated in laboratories and clinical settings, and it changes the way we need to think about memory, aging, and the brain. If you haven't already, I'd invite you to subscribe to BioSecrets. This channel is committed to bringing you science that actually matters for your health, not trends, not shortcuts, real biology explained in a way you can use. Hit that subscribe button now so you never miss what's coming next. Now, let me tell you something that might shift the way you see memory loss entirely. Most people believe that forgetting things after 60 is simply inevitable, that the brain reaches a certain age, starts declining, and that's just the natural order of things. We've been told that brain cells die as we get older, and that's a one-way street. You lose them, they don't come back. So the best you can do is manage the decline, stay sharp with puzzles, maybe take a supplement, hope for the best. Here's what the science now tells us, that belief is outdated, and in some important ways, it's just wrong. The brain is not a passive organ passively aging. It is an extraordinarily dynamic system that responds powerfully to what you feed it. The adult brain retains the ability to grow new neurons, to repair damaged connections, and to strengthen the pathways that support memory and clear thinking. This is called neuroplasticity, and it doesn't disappear at 60. It doesn't disappear at 70. It is an inherent property of your brain that remains available to you throughout your life, but it requires the right biological conditions to activate. And those conditions are largely determined by what you eat, specifically by what you eat in the morning. Let me explain why timing matters here, because this is important. After a night of sleep, your brain has been running its overnight maintenance program. The glymphatic system, a kind of internal waste clearing network unique to the brain, has been flushing out metabolic byproducts, including toxic proteins that are linked to cognitive decline. Your neurons have been undergoing repair. Your brain's fuel tank is low. And the first nutrients you introduce into your body after waking set the biochemical tone for everything your brain does for the rest of the day. Think of it like this. Imagine your brain is a high-performance engine. Overnight, it ran a deep cleaning cycle. Now it's morning, and that engine is ready to start. What you put in the tank first that determines how the engine runs. Low-quality fuel, poor ignition, the right fuel, and that engine fires cleanly, efficiently, and powerfully. The three foods I'm about to share with you are what I would call premium-grade brain fuel. Each one works through a distinct and well-understood biological pathway. And when you consume them before 9 a.m., you're delivering those nutrients during the window when your brain is most biochemically receptive. Let's start with the first one, blueberries. And I know what some of you are thinking, you've heard this before, but I want you to stay with me because what most people don't understand is why blueberries work on the brain. And when you understand the mechanism, it's genuinely remarkable. Inside blueberries are compounds called anthocyanins. These are the pigments that give blueberries their deep blue-purple color, and they are not just antioxidants in the general sense. Anthocyanins cross something called the blood-brain barrier, a highly selective protective membrane that filters what gets into the brain. Most substances can't cross it. Anthocyanins can. And once inside the brain, they do something extraordinary. They activate a protein called BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor. BDNF is sometimes called miracle grow for the brain because that's essentially what it functions as. It promotes the growth of new neurons. It strengthens synaptic connections, the junctions between brain cells where communication happens. It protects existing neurons from degeneration. Low BDNF levels are consistently associated with memory loss, cognitive decline, and depression. High BDNF levels are associated with sharper memory, faster processing, and better mood. Research published in the Annals of Neurology found that higher intake of flavonoid-rich foods, particularly blueberries and strawberries, was associated with a slower rate of cognitive aging in older adults. We're talking about a difference of up to 2.5 years in cognitive aging rate. That's not a small number. That's real measurable protection. Beyond BDNF, anthocyanins also reduce inflammation inside the brain, which is now understood to be one of the primary drivers of memory loss and neurodegenerative disease. A brain that's chronically inflamed cannot form memories efficiently. Its communication highways become congested. By reducing that inflammation at the cellular level, blueberries help restore the brain's ability to encode and retrieve information cleanly. Half a cup of blueberries in the morning. Fresh or frozen research shows frozen blueberries retain their anthocyanin content effectively. Add them to oatmeal, blend them into a smoothie, eat them straight. The delivery method is flexible. What matters is consistency. Now let's move to the second food. And this one surprises people every time I bring it up in this context. Eggs, specifically the whole egg yolk included. For years, the egg yolk was treated as something to fear. We threw them away, bought egg white products, and avoided the yolk like it was working against us. I want to tell you clearly, that was a mistake. And for the brain specifically, it may have been a costly one. Here's why. Egg yolks are one of the richest dietary sources of a nutrient called choline. And choline is not optional for brain function, it is fundamental. Your body uses choline to produce acetylcholine, which is one of the most important neurotransmitters involved in memory and learning. In fact, the areas of the brain most affected in Alzheimer's disease are the areas that depend most heavily on acetylcholine signaling. When choline levels drop, and they do drop with age, and they drop further when people avoid eggs, acetylcholine production falls. And when acetylcholine falls, memory starts to slip. The connection between neurons weakens. The brain's ability to form new memories and retrieve old ones becomes impaired. Studies from the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition have shown that adequate choline intake is associated with better cognitive performance, particularly in verbal and visual memory, the kinds of memory that tend to decline first after 60. But the yolk does something else as well. It contains lutein and zeaxanthin, two carotenoids that accumulate specifically in the macula of the eye and in brain tissue. Research from the University of Georgia found that higher brain concentrations of lutein and zeaxanthin were associated with more efficient neural responses and better cognitive performance in older adults. These compounds are essentially antioxidants that protect brain cell membranes from the kind of oxidative damage that accelerates aging. 2 whole eggs in the morning gives you a meaningful dose of choline, along with those protective carotenoids, along with high-quality protein that helps stabilize blood sugar, because blood sugar instability is itself a major contributor to brain fog and cognitive fatigue. The brain runs on glucose, yes, but it runs best on stable, sustained glucose, not the spike and crash pattern you get from a sugary breakfast. Eggs help anchor that stability in a way that keeps your thinking clear for hours. And now the third food. This one is where I want you to pay especially close attention, because the science here is newer, it's exciting, and most people have absolutely no idea this connection exists. Walnuts. Walnuts have a shape that almost looks like a brain, and it turns out that's not entirely coincidental in terms of what they do. But let's go beyond the visual metaphor and look at the actual biology. Walnuts are one of the very few plant foods that contain a meaningful amount of ALA, alpha-linolenic acid, a plant-based omega-3 fatty acid. The brain is roughly 60% fat, and a significant portion of that fat is in the form of omega-3 fatty acids, particularly DHA. DHA is critical for maintaining the structural integrity of neuron membranes. It keeps them fluid, flexible, and capable of transmitting signals efficiently. As we age, DHA levels in the brain tend to decline. The neurons become stiffer. Signal transmission slows. Memory retrieval takes longer. The brain literally becomes less flexible, not just metaphorically, but physically at the cellular membrane level. Walnuts provide ALA, which the body can convert, though not perfectly, into DHA. But beyond the omega-3 content, walnuts contain something equally important, polyphenols. Specifically, a compound called ellagic acid, and several other polyphenolic antioxidants that have been shown to reduce oxidative stress in brain tissue and suppress neuroinflammation. There's a remarkable study from UCLA published in the Journal of Nutrition, Health, and Aging that followed thousands of adults and found that regular walnut consumption was associated with significantly better cognitive function scores, including memory, processing speed, and concentration. The effect was most pronounced in older adults who started from a lower baseline of cognitive performance. But here's something even more interesting. Walnuts appear to affect the gut-brain axis. This is a communication highway between your gut microbiome and your brain, a bidirectional network that runs through the vagus nerve and the immune system. Research from the University of Illinois showed that eating walnuts changed the composition of gut bacteria in ways that produced more of certain short-chain fatty acids. These compounds travel through the bloodstream, cross into the brain, and directly influence neuroinflammation and neurotransmitter production. In other words, walnuts don't just feed your brain directly, they feed the gut bacteria that then communicate with your brain. You're essentially upgrading two systems at once. A small handful, roughly 1 ounce, about 14 walnut halves in the morning, is enough to begin activating these pathways. Add them to your oatmeal with the blueberries. Pair them with your eggs. Create a simple morning pattern around these three foods, and you are delivering a genuinely powerful combination of biological support to your brain during the window when it matters most. Now, I want to talk about something that sits beneath all of this, something that connects all three of these foods and explains at a deeper level why they work together so well. There's a system in your body called angiogenesis, the process by which your body grows new blood vessels. I've spent many years researching this system in the context of cancer, heart disease, and healing, but angiogenesis also plays a profoundly important role in brain health. The brain is one of the most vascularly dense organs in the body. Every neuron is close to a blood vessel it has to be because neurons are metabolically demanding. They need constant oxygen and glucose delivery. When blood vessel health in the brain deteriorates, when microcirculation becomes impaired, neurons begin to suffer from inadequate supply. Memory falters. Cognition slows, and this vascular component of cognitive decline is increasingly recognized as a major driver of age-related memory loss. Blueberries, walnuts, and eggs all contain compounds that support vascular health. The anthocyanins in blueberries improve the flexibility and function of blood vessels. The omega-3s in walnuts reduce vascular inflammation and support healthy blood flow. The lutein in eggs protects blood vessel walls from oxidative damage. Together, they're not just feeding neurons, they're maintaining the infrastructure that keeps those neurons alive and well supplied. This is why the combination matters. This is why morning matters. And this is why consistency matters more than any single dramatic intervention. I want to address something real for a moment. I know that for many of you watching, memory concerns feel personal. Maybe you've noticed changes in yourself. Maybe you've watched a parent or a spouse struggle and you're thinking about your own future. The fear that can come with those moments is understandable. It's deeply human. But I want you to hear this clearly. The fact that you are here watching this, asking these questions, that is not helplessness. That is the beginning of a real response. The brain is not a fixed, declining machine. It is a living system that responds to care. The science of neuroplasticity, of BDNF, of gut-brain communication, all of it points in the same direction. The choices you make in your daily life, including something as simple as what you eat before 9 a.m., send biological signals to your brain that can genuinely shift the trajectory of how it ages. This doesn't mean food is a cure for every form of cognitive decline. I want to be honest with you about that. But it does mean that the conditions inside your body, the level of inflammation, the health of your blood vessels, the availability of BDNF, the balance of neurotransmitters, the diversity of your gut microbiome, all of these are modifiable. You have influence over them. Every morning is a new opportunity to exercise that influence. Start simple. This week, before 9 a.m., try building a morning that includes blueberries, 2 whole eggs, and a small handful of walnuts. It doesn't need to be complicated or time-consuming. A bowl with eggs cooked the way you like them, blueberries on the side, walnuts mixed in or eaten separately. That's it. That's a genuinely powerful brain protective meal built on real science. Over time, combine this with other habits that complement the biology. Movement, even a 20-minute morning walk, raises BDNF almost as powerfully as any food. Quality sleep allows the lymphatic system to do its overnight cleaning work properly. Managing stress matters because chronic cortisol is genuinely toxic to the hippocampus, the brain's memory center. Social connection stimulates neural pathways in ways that protect against decline. These are not soft suggestions. They are biologically meaningful actions. But food remains one of the most accessible and consistent levers you have. 3 times a day, every day, you make decisions that speak directly to the biology of your brain. This morning is a chance to make those decisions count. I want to ask you something before we close. What memory have you noticed slipping? Or maybe you've already tried changing your diet and seen a difference. What worked for you? Drop it in the comments below. I read them more than you might expect, and the conversations that happen there often help shape what I bring to you next. Your experience matters, and someone else reading your comment may find exactly the encouragement or insight they need. If you found this useful, and I genuinely hope you did, please consider sharing this video with someone you care about. A parent, a spouse, a friend over 60. Memory concerns touch nearly every family, and the information in this video could genuinely make a difference for someone who hasn't heard it yet. And if you're not yet subscribed to BioSecrets, now is a good time. What we do here is bring you the real science, not clickbait, not fear, not one-size-fits-all advice. Just honest, evidence-based information delivered in a way that you can actually use. Every video is built with that same commitment. Subscribe and bring that into your life on a regular basis. Your brain built every memory you've ever made, every face you love, every lesson you've learned, every moment that shaped who you are. Your brain holds all of it. It deserves your attention. It deserves the best fuel you can give it. And the good news, the genuinely hopeful news, is that it is never too late to start.